Hello, welcome to Real Sharks, episode 43. Today the guys discuss the end of Walking Dead, a Mulan review, animal villain films, and Tucky Williams joins the show. Enjoy.
It is time.
Sharks in order. Our shark.
There's a Sharknado coming.
Dragon sharks?
Are those sharks with laser beams attached to their heads?
Welcome to the
Real Sharks.
He should be, yeah, he's fine. Dude, this is like kind of a good, just kind of fun episode. Although I did want to roast him on a few things today on the show. Yeah, he's running late, everybody. But everybody, welcome to the Real Sharks podcast. You heard the lady prior. We got an excellent show for you guys to hear today. But we're gonna kick it off with that movie news. So let's hit that button. And I need to grab me a beer before I go through some of this movie news, let me tell you. Alright, so the first one I got today, guys, is Walking Dead will end at season 11. Right, yes.
I saw that. I was actually surprised.
Why were you surprised?
Because I thought this show would go on for like 20 years.
Yeah, right. It seems to almost be a zombie onto itself.
Hold on, did you guys hear that they're gonna do like other anthologies?
Yeah,
like
no, I was just getting to that here in my
Oh.
notes. They're doing a Daryl and Carol spin-off, and no, they're not just thinking about it. It is in the works, meaning pre-production.
Yeah, I thought that was a little weird. I mean, yeah, they're great characters and they mesh well, but do we really need a spin-off about those two?
Yeah, the show has been going on for a really, really long time. 11 seasons. I would have really thought that the show would have ended by now, but the new show would spin off with Norman Reedus and Michelle McBride, set for 2023. They're not even giving these people, fans, a chance to breathe.
No, it's like I said, it's just clearly, undying. It's funny, too, because the season 11, the ending, is still going to take 2 years to finish. It's not a season, that's 2 seasons. Let's just get it right here.
Is this going to be the first show that actually ends its series in a movie theater?
I hate to say this about Walking Dead, but it is old to me, man. It is beyond old, beyond boring. I don't know how anyone is still interested in that show. I really, really, really don't. It kind of confounds me, man, because it used to be so good when it was about, people living in the zombie apocalypse. Now it's more like drama with zombie apocalypse in background. Like, literally, dialogue. Oh, look, you see the zombies? Yeah, kill them. Boom. Let's continue on with this random story, which is basically the same story. They get a place, they settle in, then somebody's going to try and uproot them and take them over and kill them. And they get picked off, slowly, one at a time, if you really think about it. I don't know how much more shocking they can make this film. I don't know how much... I don't know where else they could go with the show. I think it's so boring. In fact, I think it kind of kills zombie films on itself. I really think it's made the genre so oversaturated. I'm never personally excited for a zombie film anymore.
They were played out in 09, 010, and that was kind of what around the show's beginning, or it was right around when the show was getting life. Just, I don't know, man. It's just played out. Zombies are cool, but the show is just played. Season 11 of this show it's too much. It should have ended a while back, like Rob said. How many times are you going to see these people get ransacked by some raider group? Each season it seems like, and they play it out. So
same scenario every single time.
The show actually aired 2010.
Yeah, it's a decade old.
A decade
of the same thing Rob just said.
Yeah.
When I first watched the show, I loved it. I probably saw up to season 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But after that, it just started getting boring because they kept on killing off all the original actors they had on it, and the story plot just kind of seemed to go off the deep end.
It was so random. I actually thought once it got past the prison, it was all downhill from there for me. I did not care.
The governor too.
Well, I liked the governor. No, that was the
like
prison.
the end of the governor.
Yeah, I have no that. Well, then they did like those couple spin-off episodes of everything like that. Well, not spin-offs, but the continuation of the governor episode. And we are joined by Mike and company. He doesn't have a company, but he's that lovable. He brings like a whole company of hugs.
Hello, everybody.
And we are right now discussing the end of Walking Dead, which is set to end in season 11. Finally, this is being laid to rest. No pun intended here. But is it being laid to rest?
Not with multiple spin-offs planned.
That's exactly what we were having a discussion. See, that's why we have him on the crew, everybody. That's why we have him. He's just getting mic'd up here.
They're just rebranding, that's all.
Yeah. Speaking of branding, and I'm so glad you're here, Mike, because now I can actually get to my notes that I was looking for. So, Mike, I have a question for you. As Marvel's representative here, why did Zack Stein say he's a writer on Thor, revealed that he knew nothing about Norse gods nor the comic Thor itself?
What?
And you know what I gotta say? Shows. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to start shit as soon as he got here today. Well, I have another one here. Mike, why did Marvel just make a Kamala Harris lookalike character for the Marvel Universe? Did you hear about this?
Oh, I didn't know.
Yes,
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did. They made a Kamala Harris type character, but she's in the video game, right?
Yeah, she's in the
new game.
Marvel?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just thought, it's weird because I personally don't like when DC does that. I just wanted you to think, as an avid Marvel fan, do you think that was a little bit too much of the pandering, or do you think that was needed, or do you think,
I hadn't heard anything about this, but I know Barack Obama is in the comics, and they do things like this here and there. That is definitely she's not even elected to vice president at this point yet, so it would be weird to do that now, this early. That's kind of putting the cart before the horse in a way, because she hasn't been elected to anything. She's just running for it. So yeah, if she's actually in the game, that's pretty ridiculous to have done that.
I just seen that. I just was like, Mike's gonna love that.
I didn't buy that game. It looked pretty cheap and kind of like it was cashing in on the license.
What?
Well, I know we're a movie podcast, but have any of you played that game at all?
No. So what the fuck do we know, right?
No, maybe you guys look.
No. I'm being serious. It's like, what do we know? So another interesting story I thought is that even though Mulan just came out in theaters, they're already talking about making a streaming release for it because the theaters are doing that bad and they're not making any money from the theaters off of it.
Well, it is on Disney Plus right now.
Is it?
Yeah,
it
for
is.
$29.99. I actually just watched it today.
I think they're going to do it like everywhere, though, like a whole streaming release, I guess, to like Netflix, all that stuff.
Yeah, I thought it's going to be on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
is it?
So they're
just roll over there.
Yeah, they're going to make that streamable for all the major platforms of Amazon Prime. Obviously, I think that there was discussion, at least, for something with Netflix. I don't know if that's true or not. That could be a rumor, but I know Amazon Prime for sure, and Disney's actually thinking of lowering their prices on that because of the backlash they've got with the $29.99 price point, plus some of the controversies surrounding the film. There's a lot of this boycott going on, right, Rob?
With Mulan?
With Mulan, the live action, there was
boycotts going on before they was even created.
Before it's created. Now it's just stirring up even more.
I mean, first of all, they kicked the bee's hive when they were like, we're going to make a Caucasian instead of a Asian, which I thought was absolute bullshit. I hate to say that, but you're making a movie about feudal China. You better put, an Asian woman in there. I just want to say that right now. Yes, they did. They did. Kudos to that. They did. But I thought, it looked nothing like Mulan. But I do have my own little reviewer at home. My son's seen it, and he was like, "Dad, I freaking loved it." He said, "I thought it was better than the original movie."
What?
It's
No, he did
definitely
not.
a movie kids could like, but anybody over a certain age is going to be like.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I watched it today. It's kind of enjoyable, but very flawed. There's a bunch of holes and problems with it.
We're going to get right back to that in just a second. We're going to actually take our first break. We'll be right back with Lucas Maximus, and we're going to have a whole full panel here on the show.
Do you guys like cheesy movies? I mean, the real primo stuff. Well, here at TYTD Reviews, we've got you covered. Covering cult classics and the movies that time forgot, we review the kind of movies your video store clerk always warned you about. From sci-fi to action, horror to comedy, if it's radioactive, it's on TYTD. With special guests and more, why not join us, tune in and drop out? And we hope to see you very soon.
Hello, potential listeners. My name is The Vern, and I'm the host of the Cinema Recall podcast. On most shows, myself, along with some great guests, we will talk about a movie and then some of the most iconic moments that happened in said movie. On top of that, you'll get bonus shows where I will give you short reviews about new and classic movies, or I'll just rant and rave about something going on in the entertainment industry. So come check us out. We're available on Anchor, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, most other places. Don't forget to follow us on social media. On Twitter, we are at cinema_recall. And then on Facebook, Instagram, we are Cinema Recall Podcast. Don't forget to email us your ad spots to play on future episodes. That email is cinemarecall@gmail.com. Hope to see you around, and thank you very much for listening.
And when you're 10,000 leagues under the sea, you need a good anchor. And let me tell you about our sponsor, Anchor.
What's Anchor?
Anchor is actually the easiest way to make a podcast, Steve. They give you the tools to make your podcast sound great and authentic. They distribute your podcast to Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and many others.
Huh, but is it for free?
It's absolutely free, Squid, and you can make money with hardly any minimal listenership. All you gotta do is go to anchor.fm.com to download the app there.
Hey,
What's going on, Lucas Maximus?
going pretty good. How are you guys?
We're good. It's Lucas Maximus out in Cali, everybody. This is the first time we have a full panel on the show, everybody. Yes, that is right. So, welcome to a full panel of the Real Sharks podcast. We have Lucas Maximus. We got Mike.
Hello.
We got Steve.
Yo.
And we got Squid.
Hey guys,
A.K.A. William, but we like Squid.
Squid is always better, right?
So, Lucas Maximus.
Yeah,
What did you think about Walking Dead ending at season 11?
season 11. Okay, well, I'm sure it was a super great season, man. I thought whatever Norman Reedus, great performance, and what's her face, it's true. You know what they said. You know, the real Walking Dead were the friends we made along the way. I'm gonna be honest. I dropped off of Walking Dead after season 3.
That's what we were
when
saying.
I realized it was gonna be the exact same episode every episode. And I'm gonna guess based off of your others, the people who have watched it, I'm probably not off base in terms of that. It's been the same episode every single time.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
We hunker down, then we get torn to pieces.
Yeah.
Once a season, a character gets killed.
Man, 11 seasons is kind of insane. Most, even really good shows
For zombies,
don't last
too.
that long.
I mean, hell, George Romero couldn't even make that many zombie films before he, passed. I'm not
true.
trying to be me, but seriously.
No, I mean, you're right,
That is
though.
pretty true.
They've made 11 seasons of this shit.
Yeah.
Plus the other
Fear
sequel,
the Walking Dead.
Fear the Walking Dead, which is
Yeah.
up to season 4 or 5 now.
And that's a prequel.
Yeah, that's a prequel show.
I mean, I would assume at this point the prequel is pretty much in the timeline of Walking Dead at this point. You can only have so much prequel.
I've never watched the show, but I think you're kind of on the nose about it.
Yeah, because I believe one character went from, I think Morgan goes from Walking Dead to Fear the Walking Dead at some point.
We brought that up. Me and Rob brought that up a while ago. We were talking about this.
And speaking of talking about things, we're actually going to have Tucky Williams on the show next. That's actually going to be the next guest on the Real Sharks podcast, everybody. So make sure you stick around for that.
Well, do I have some movie news?
It better not be about Ridley Scott. I swear to God, I cannot take any more Ridley Scott things.
But it is an interesting one. Do you guys like Sacha Conan Baron? I know.
Sacha Baron Cohen?
Yeah. How do you guys feel about a Borat sequel? Because it's happening.
Oh yeah.
I saw that story today.
Yeah, apparently the title has already, he came out with the title and it's already been shot and it's in production. So
Yeah.
it's a weird thing how, I mean, he's weird anyways. He doesn't really release anything that he works on. He kind of just comes out with it and he's there. So it's not too weird, but a Borat 2 in 2020.
That's kind of safe. To be honest with you, I mean, I can't think of a better movie that really captured a lot of people's imagination, like Borat, which was about hating immigrants.
Yeah, and and making fun of like the people that were making fun.
I'm
of
not being mean.
immigrants.
I literally know so many people that loved that film, and then when they went and saw, was it Bruno? Oh, it was like 180.
They hated it.
They hated
They
Bruno.
were walking out of Bruno, but I love Bruno.
I think it was the swinging penis part that really did it. Personally, I think that part's hilarious.
That's like one of the.
I thought Bruno was great. Raising Cajun potato skins.
Yeah, Bruno had some really good. But I think for me, the one moment that like I knew what we were in for, I think it was when they had it was like the champagne bottle fully up the guy's ass, and they opened it and poured it. I was like, "Fuck! I would not." Jesus.
He went to Israel and almost died.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh right. Yeah.
He went to Israel in that. Yeah.
They he was straight up with I don't think it was Hezbollah, but yeah, he was with some of the insurgents, but they got a straight up interview with him. That's crazy.
Yeah, he said, what if I told you your leader Osama looks like a dirty wizard or a homeless Santa Claus? So go ahead, Squid.
But I'm kind of excited for this. I hope he does release it. But what I'm more looking forward to is if he can release What Is America Season 2.
Just release Ali G, another season.
The movie Ali G wasn't even that good.
It wasn't that good,
Ali G bombed.
Yeah, release the show of that again.
But we're gonna go ahead and move out of movie news because I want to hear this review by Mike on Mulan. Hit it, Mike.
Well, I would like to ask, did anybody else watch it?
No, I didn't.
I had no interest in seeing it.
I do have interest in seeing it. However, though, it looks like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon with Mulan on it.
Yeah, I basically
with the witch. With the witch that turns into a hawk. Don't forget that.
And smaller birds. She can turn into like 1,000 pigeons. Or they never really specify what bird it is, but she turns into like 10,000.
So Mulan turns into
No, the witch.
The witch.
Oh, okay.
There's this other witch character.
Why is there a witch now?
There's just a witch in.
To have a female antagonist opposite our female protagonist.
So the witch is in play now. Okay. Continue
Luke,
on.
have you watched this?
Mulan? No, I didn't want to pay $30 fucking.
I'm right there with you, Luke.
Yeah, thankfully.
I know that I am aware of mixed thoughts on Mulan. I've heard some people say that it's the best live action adaptation, which is not really saying much.
Right.
I've also heard it's the worst live action adaptation, which is also not saying much. I only know that there are just some controversies, obviously, because they were trying to go for a little bit more authentic. Because this movie, there's no question what it was. It was designed for the Chinese market specifically because Disney's always been trying to get inroads in that. So there have been some issues about accuracy, which is perfectly valid if your whole point is you are trying to do something a little bit more thoughtful and correct to the original story and mythology. No, but I haven't seen it. I'll probably see it eventually, but all I know is the back and forth on whether or not it actually was a respectful adaptation of the original story.
I'm just all into the flying and the magic, guys. I'm just all into that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But then again, that's wuxia. Like wuxia films, like Crouching Tiger, there's that element of mysticism and advanced life.
Fantasy. It's a fantasy, Luke. Just let us live the fantasy. God damn it.
People fly around, and I don't know.
But hit it, Mike. I want to hear
Well,
this.
all that is fine, and I'm like, personally, when I saw the trailer for this one, I was really excited because a lot of these live-action Disney remakes have not been very good, and the last one was Lion King, which I thought was terrible.
Oh, it was
Just a
atrocious.
terrible film.
Yeah.
Really bad.
But this one I had hope for because I was like, this is a story that can work in live action. It's just a story about two rival armies fighting each other, and if you're gonna make it into a kung fu movie, like that works too. That's great. But the problem with it is, like, Mulan as a character has no arc and no growth. She starts the movie as a 10-year-old girl who is already, like, a master kung fu artist. Like, she's doing flipping spin kicks and spinning her blade around and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. So you're like, she's already the best warrior in the army, as opposed to old Mulan, who was just an average fighter who got better as the movie went on.
So there's no let's get down to business.
No.
There's like no songs.
Well, there's definitely no music.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
I wish there was the songs. It would have made it better. But yeah, she has no arc as a character, and like she spends most of the movie concealing how good she is at fighting, and then finally, like towards the end, is like, okay, well, I got to show these people how good I am, and kind of breaks out of her shell and becomes, a little bit more of a leader.
Super Saiyan, basically.
Yeah. She gets in touch with her chi by revealing, that she's Mulan.
Oh my gosh.
Xiaoping or what? I forget what her name was. Male name. But yeah, overall it was okay. Like,
his name is Ping.
The action's pretty good, but outside of that, like, yeah, there's no character growth. You spend no time learning anything about any of the supporting cast. Who's filled with, like, Donnie Yen's in it, Jet Li.
Oh, Donnie Yen's in it?
Yeah.
Ooh, I love Donnie Yen.
Yeah, Jet Li as the Emperor.
Yeah.
I love me some Yen.
He's actually, I heard he's like the best part of the movie.
Ooh, Donnie Yen?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's there. I don't know. I didn't dislike him.
He just has to stand there to make that movie prestigious. He's Donnie Yen.
I'm Donnie Yen.
Basically, yeah. It's like, oh, we got Jet Li and Donnie Yen because whatever we pay them, we'll get it back in what we get tickets.
Exactly. Just advertise Donnie Yen on the poster. There you go. People will go see it. That's interesting, though. So overall, what would you give the movie, like, out of 10?
Out of 10, probably like a 6.5.
What about the music? Did it have good music?
There's zero. Like, there's score. There's score in it, but it's
How was the
very
score?
subtle. It's fine.
Okay.
It's nothing special. It's not going to blow your mind.
Special
or anything.
effects?
They're shaky. They go back and forth. Some of them are really good. Other ones are not great. I don't want to go into spoilers, but there's one thing where normal people can catch arrows in this movie. And it doesn't make any sense. Like, they have the witch, she can't catch arrows, but the other, like, normal people can just catch arrows. Like, they shoot an arrow at a dude from over 100 yards and he just catches it. And you're like, what the hell?
Don't you know? That's what they used to do back in the day.
And that's like, yeah, the movie has a lot of that where it's like, are we trying to be realistic or are we trying to be mystical? And then we keep kind of riding the line between which one we're gonna be. And then in the end, like, again, as an adult, I could see a 12-year-old being like, this is awesome. But as an adult, it has not enough depth or, like, meaning. And then the riding a line between either just go all in and be wild and be crazy and, throw Mushu in it and have a dragon that can talk. Or make it
so there was no
realistic.
Mushu?
No Mushu.
There was no
What?
Yeah.
No, it's supposed to be a phoenix.
It's Phoenix, yeah.
And then we have, like,
okay.
a very tiny part. It's
Like,
only
really tiny.
So, like,
There's no cricket in it. The lucky
No.
cricket's not in it.
So when does Mulan find the Chamber of Secrets?
No, seriously, I mean, does Mulan talk to a snake?
No.
There's
No.
nothing like this. She ride a panda at one point.
There's no panda.
So she doesn't go into the cave of one.
Okay, I understand taking away the music. I understand taking away the dragon. I understand taking away the lucky trinket. But the whole riding the panda, they could at least had her ride a panda.
Right? I mean, I would have paid $30 to see one of them hop onto a panda.
Yo, woman.
Yeah, well, no, Mushu does. Mushu rides
okay.
that panda for a second.
Okay, I was like, when is it? What?
Yeah, I didn't remember that either.
I still would have liked to see something more like, fantastical. We're not talking about the Ewok movie
Well,
here.
they got a witch sorceress who can turn into an eagle or a hawk and then can turn into like 1,000 birds.
But the Ewok movie had Ewoks.
Oh, yeah! Yeah. This is a very good point. This is a very valid point. Can't deny that.
So, I thought the main topic of today's show would be creature villain films, basically movies, horror films, whatever you want to say, where the animal is the antagonist or the villain to say. Some of these movies are good. Some of them are crap. Some of them are well-known. Some of them aren't. The first one I actually want to talk about, which is kind of, it may just be the main one tonight, guys, because it's so goddamn insane. Squid, you're going to have to pull up the date here exactly. I'm pretty sure I'm right, though. This movie's called Roar, 1981. Make sure I'm right on that, Squid. Because let me tell you, first of all, this movie was a box office failure. Had a budget of $7... Now, I should start off by saying, too, this is not any kind of creature villain film.
1981.
Okay, good, I was right. So, this isn't any kind of creature villain, so I guess this might be a bad one to start off, but I have to tell you about this movie, my audience, because this movie should just be called Close Call to Death. And let me explain to you why. This movie was made in 1981, and basically it was kind of taking place in real time as they were making it. Basically, the guy who's a naturalist named Robbie saves a bunch of lions and tigers on this nature preserve. So during the movie, they wanted to make a film about this, basically about what was going on, about poachers basically hunting them and how they're trying to like basically save the lions and all this, yada yada. His family also comes in at one point in this movie, but what makes it insane is they used real lions, real untrained animals in the making of this film, and 70 people were injured during the making of this movie. Apparently, the cinematographer, got scalped from the head to the neck down by one of these lions, went to the hospital, came back and shot the rest of the movie for the 5 years.
What?
Yes, this really happened that way.
That's some dedication.
Dude, it is an insane movie. The main guy, man, he deserves his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, man, because basically what it was is it was a whole family. This whole family lived with these lions. So that's why the lions didn't outright kill him, because he was actually familiar with some of them, but they're still like smashing him into the ground and stuff like that. Jeez. It's one of the most craziest films I've ever seen. I don't get shocked by movies too much, but that film actually shocked me. I almost want to take this film, ladies and gentlemen, and make it into a Grindhouse film and re-put it up on Real Sharks, because it is almost like watching a horror film. I'm not joking. The lions almost maul the guy to death. I'm talking blood on their faces. It's like faces of death almost. And there was one part where this guy, I could clearly tell, was screaming for his life.
I'm looking through like the photograph stills from this. I think I see the picture. Is it that scene?
Yes, where there's worse scenes than that. There's scenes where his like face is covered in blood. There's a scene where he's like, "Oh, the lions just like to play. Come here, they like to play." And basically, all the lionesses tackle his ass. And basically, since they're I guess captive lions, they don't know exactly how to kill exactly, so they all put their weight on him at once, and you can tell his face is like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna die at this moment, but I have to keep feeding the lions." And keep trying to play along. In the beginning of this movie, too, it says that the lions were untrained and that they deserve credit in the film because they just kind of did their own thing. So basically, the script was affected by the fact that these lions and all these tigers didn't act on cue. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, you can find this movie on YouTube, first of all. You have to watch it because you're going to be shocked. And you're not even going to be able to watch the story. You're going to be like, oh my God, that man almost died. Like, this man is being mauled by... If that tiger knew how to bite someone by the neck, that guy would be dead right here on film. But 70 people were mauled during the making of this film. That's a horror film itself.
It is.
And the movie only made $2 million back.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. So the budget was $17 million, and it made back $2 million. That's pretty bad.
It took 5 years to make.
You wonder how much the hospital bills were.
Right. Dude, those had to be.
Well, apparently the set got destroyed in a flood, and of course the animals were just going crazy. And like he really had his family. Everyone plays themselves in this movie, basically. But Luke, you had a thought. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm watching, there's some clips of the attacks, and it is, like, there's one where, like, 3 lions are just jumping on this guy, and it's scarier because it's a look like he's clearly trying to not freak out, like he's trying to not lose. it's like, holy shit.
Yes, right.
This is basically the Joe Exotic movie, the Tiger King.
You talk about Tiger. This is the Tiger King before the Tiger King.
Yeah, this is like the
This is what this is going to be called. This episode.
It's a little. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm very sympathetic to animals. It is upsetting because they're like slapping the animals, like they're in true danger. It's fucking insane.
That's
so this shit.
I'm telling you, watch. It's on YouTube. Watch this film, ladies and gentlemen. It is terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying.
And there's a bunch of tigers jumping and like. I cannot even fathom how fucked up this would have been to be on set. And imagine being a crew member being like, hey, should we keep filming this?
Right. We're going to die. We are going to die.
Yeah.
There are primal screams in this film at some points where you can tell they cut it out because these people are like, we're going to die right here during the making of this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh man, this is good though. Yeah.
I know it's going to be hard to move forward on that. We kind of started with the the best, not the best for last, but the best first.
This is good though.
But some people would say the greatest.
Yeah. So what's the what's next on the docket?
I would say some would say the greatest creature feature film or creature villain film is Jaws, and I really can't. I have to say, arguably, this is probably one of the greatest films of all time, regardless of a horror film. I mean, this is a film that touches people psychologically, and ironically, on Real Sharks, this is going to be the real first time we've ever really spoken about this movie. God, do I love Jaws. I think it's great still.
It's a masterpiece.
I think it's great, regardless of how you feel about the special effects, and that is the biggest critique I ever hear of that film, is, the special effects are cheap. It doesn't matter, because the fear, the psychological fear that movie causes to make people not want to go in the water is incredible. But not just that, the movie in itself is brilliant from a marketing standpoint, because this movie single-handedly made people fear sharks. Made sharks be murdered worldwide.
Yep.
That's the power this movie had. Based off a book about the Jersey, I believe it's New Jersey attacks, about a shark that swam up I think it's New Jersey Creek or whatever, and killed a bunch of people. And, from there they made this book, and basically, Steven Spielberg directed it. One of the greatest masterpieces in all of cinema. Home to one of the greatest scenes in all of film, too, which would be that scene of the Indianapolis where they're all singing and they're drunk and everything. That scene is incredible. I mean, it's such a loose kind of scripted scene that just kind of makes you get really close to the characters when they start talking about their scars and they start talking about the Indianapolis. That's such a good scene.
Take out their anger on each other because they're scared of the shark.
They hated each other, and then that whole scene kind of makes them bond for that last, that last clutch moment before they all basically get eaten by a fucking shark. But Jaws is a masterpiece, and I actually have to say, and we didn't get to this one on sequels that are strong, I think Jaws 2 is also a strong sequel.
I agree. I agree. It doesn't get the recognition, I think.
No, it doesn't.
It's up there for it's right there for me for Godfather Part 2. I think it's that good. It's that good. A lot of people don't like it just because of the character developments. Too many people.
Well, you know what's going to happen. It's going to be a bunch of kids eaten by sharks.
Yep, right.
that's the movie theme.
But it's good. It's great.
But who's got some more thoughts on Jaws?
I love Jaws. I actually just recently bought it because I loved it so much because I didn't have it in my movie collection. And as soon as I bought it, I popped it in. I started watching it. I'm like, man, I forgot how great this movie is. I mean, right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm wearing a Jaws shirt right now.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
No question.
Just because, I love the movie so much. And you know what?
Don't worry, everybody. Jaws is still cool.
But, with the Jaws 2, from when I watched it, it could only go up from that point, and then as soon as Jaws 3 came out, that's when it bombed.
Yeah,
and
Jaws 3 is
Jaws
terrible.
Revenge. When they go to Jamaica, of all places,
They be in Jamaica, man. Because Jaws feeling a little, he wanted some jerk chicken, man.
Jerk chicken, yeah.
Oh, my God.
So what? So what if there was a Jamaican in there, you racist? Jaws 4 was extremely bad, and Jaws 3 was even worse.
Even worse.
Mike, you're the youngest one on the panel here. What is your feelings on Jaws?
I mean, Jaws is it's amazing. Obviously, I grew up with Jurassic Park, which is essentially just Jaws on land.
Yeah.
It's basically if you took...
Say that again. I love how you said Jaws on land.
It's Jaws on land. Like, well, Spielberg made Jaws, and then Ridley Scott made Aliens, and then Cameron made... Ridley Scott made Alien. Cameron made Aliens, and then that led to Jurassic Park, which is basically just aliens again with dinosaurs. But obviously, it all spawns from Jaws. Jaws is a fantastic movie. I mean, it's the first blockbuster ever made. It's got just great directing, great strong characters, fun cast, great performances by Roy Schneider and
Richard Dreyfuss.
Thank you, Richard Dreyfuss. They're both just having a great time, and I don't know, it's a fun movie. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, you know, for what a disaster it almost ended up being, too, for a movie. I mean, you know, we've made jokes about it, but Bruce, the shark is what it's called, broke down numerous times. I mean, to the point of where the studio was almost tired of this film. I mean, they knew Steven Spielberg could deliver, but it was still like, God, this guy needs to hurry his ass up on this film. But, you know, interesting enough, too, they, speaking of Jurassic Park, Steven Spielberg used the same noise for when Jaws dies as the Tyrannosaurus Rex roar. It's a truck. Yeah, it's a semi-truck. It's a like stopping, I think it is, right?
Yes, it's a stopping, and then they like sped it up or something, and then slowed it down for like higher pitches.
Interesting.
And the thing about it is both of these issues that you were saying that Bruce had was because they had to have Bruce in the water,
Saltwater.
You could not have him in the saltwater because it would mess it up.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing that happened with the T-Rex, where there was a raining issue, which was messing up the T-Rex, and they had to keep going in with a guy to help out.
Yeah, covering it with tarps. Yeah, I don't know.
Water.
Yeah, I love that behind-the-scenes feature on Jurassic Park where the VFX supervisor, or I think it's Stan Winston, he's like, and then Steven decided randomly, like, oh, we're going to just make this sequence rain. You see the panic, even years later on a behind-the-scenes feature, you just see the panic on Stan Winston's face still, the scar of being like, oh my god, I got to put this thing in water. What are you doing to me again?
Yeah.
It's so funny because Jaws is such a big movie. It's even part of pulp culture. I mean, so much so that MythBusters even had to go through the movie and break some of the myths about like could a great white shark pull a boat. But my favorite one, in the most infamous scene of Jaws, of course, is the tank scene. The last scene, the smile, you son of a bitch.
Smile, you son of a...
That would not happen. For those of you who have never known this, my audience, that is absolutely impossible. They have tested this theory numerous of times. Would not work.
Myth busted.
Yeah, myth busted. But I do know for a fact that when Steven Spielberg was doing the movie, they told him this. They said, Steven, in theory, this would not work. And Steven said, I quote, he said, if I have them now, it doesn't matter.
He's right.
He's absolutely right. Yeah. If the audience is cheering, just stop talking.
Yeah. I mean, that's why Spielberg's career has been so long, and so many of his movies are either highest-grossing movies ever or just legendary films, because he just goes like, oh, I know how to make an audience cheer, and he's very good at that.
Here's another Steven that's done movies that, they go up and they go down. I wouldn't say he has a record like Steven Spielberg, nor would I say his films, even though not done himself, have not exactly been, I guess you could say, depicted the best. What about Steven Spielberg's Cujo?
Ooh.
Who remembers Cujo, about the dog? Yeah, based on the book by Stephen King, but about a vicious dog. A little different than the movie, because in the book you actually get to see the dog's perspective of things, which is actually kind of interesting. But basically this is the story of a killer St. Bernard running amok because no one kicks it in the face and tells it to get lost.
Well, no, there was a guy who did. He was like, I'm being sarcastic.
This dog was like insane. I mean, it was it a bat, right? It was a bat that basically
bit him on the nose.
Yeah, infected him. And then it's about a mom and her son stuck in the car, and Cujo's just trying to kill him.
I mean, like, the movie was alright. It's like subtly brutal. But it's the only thing
it's realistic
is like the subplot of like the husband of the woman and the child. is like cheating on her, right?
Yeah.
And they spend way too long.
That's all Stephen King films, though.
Like, what the hell?
It's all that's all Stephen King things, though. It's like there's always this subplot that's like, who cares? I don't care about that.
Half the film. It's like go back to the scene with the mom and the kid, and you're thinking, oh, is it
South
just
Park even makes fun of that when they do the Children of the Corn, because the guy's like, I gotta get to my job, and it's like it's the same thing in the movie. It's like no one cares about that. They all care about the children in the corn.
That's so funny. It's because it's true, and I think the woman and the children get like bit of
It's
times,
one kid, but yeah.
It's a pretty subtle film that I think a lot of people don't mention when they see.
They
creature
definitely
films.
forget about it. It's probably a very fearful film for postmen.
And
you know, I'm sure mailmen are terrified of it because
I think you would be scared too if you're up there somewhere rural and then there's this big ass Saint Bernard dog that's rabies and you have no communication with the outside world. How what are you gonna do?
You know, I think a more realistic movie should have been with a chimp. Because that already happened. Yes, that already happened. I'm not even joking. That really happened.
What would it be like? Is it more because they get open up the handle?
Oh my God! You'd have a scene just like Jurassic Park. He can't get it unless they figure out how to open doors, and it's like.
I don't know what his inspiration for Cujo was. But in my head, this is what I think. I
Cocaine.
think he read a story about a housewife leaving her dog in the car, and he thought, what about turn around is fair play? What if it's about a dog keeping the mom locked in the door in the car?
You might be right.
That would be. I think that's funny.
Like, how does that feel? Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, it's the reverse. This is for all the times dogs were locked in cars. You son of a bitch.
Dogs everywhere love this movie.
This is the ultimate revenge film. So if you're a person out there, my eyes, that leaves your dog in the car.
Watch out, because Cujo's coming for you.
Fun fact: he does not. Stephen King himself does not remember actually writing Cujo.
Cocaine was the co-author.
Because of how much of a drug addict he was around that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Stephen King. It's just like cocaine or alcohol. It fueled the writing.
His dreams that fuel his alien obsessed dreams.
Oh, dream catcher!
Everything is aliens with him, man. Even freaking it was an alien.
Yeah,
it was a goddamn alien at the end of it.
Maximum Overdrive with trucks involved aliens.
No, I love that movie. Don't you
Tommy Knockers is about an alien. It's about a fucking UFO buried in the woods that's given the town powers. At the very end, they find the ship. And there's like a fucking a great alien in there.
That's an awesome scene, by the way.
It is a great scene. Don't get me wrong, but it's terrifying. But the fact is, it's like that's a cop out. It's like, Steven, how are you going to explain all this? Aliens.
We actually did a Family Guy episode about that.
Yeah.
It's like, this is your 40th book. What is it going to be about?
Lamp monster.
Yeah.
It's like you're not even trying anymore. So, here's another one that I think is interesting, and we'll go a little bit international on this one. Does anybody remember that movie Prime Evil with long lost actor Orlando Jones? God, please deliver him back to us. I have no idea what happened to the man.
He was on American Gods most recently.
Still, I haven't seen it. Regardless, but that movie Prime Evil about Gustav, the killer crocodile that they say has killed over 300 people in Africa. So this is a crocodile with a taste for the human flesh, so to say. Did anyone actually like this film?
Which movie?
All right.
Prime Evil.
Prime Evil. That's okay.
The only problem I had with that movie was when the crocodile goes chasing after him in the bush like it's a goddamn lion.
Yeah, that was weird. That was a weird scene to look at.
Because it's like trotting off like in the tall grass, and it's almost like a crocodile that weighs a ton. I don't even think they can move that fast when they're on land like that. No. But this thing is just booking it after Orlando Jones.
Yeah.
But I think that film has one of the greatest lines in it of all time that no one really appreciates, and it's delivered by Orlando Jones himself. He actually says, "Yeah, no one ever cared about this crocodile until he ate a white woman." Because that crocodile has eaten over 300 people, and then it ate that one white, Red Cross lady in the beginning, and then it was an international thing. Yeah, it's all right. And then it was an international thing, man. You know, another interesting creature film. I want to see if Luke remembers this one. It's actually called Prey. It's about based on a true story. No, Prey with a P.
Prey.
Yes, it's based on a true story about, and I believe that's the title because I'm doing this. I don't even have it on my notes, ladies and gentlemen. I lost my other notes today, so forgive me. It's based on a true story about a family off on safari. And basically, their tour guide gets ripped out of the truck by a pride of lions, and the whole time they are stuck in this safari car with a pride of lions trying to get in after them.
Did they lose the keys?
Wow! No, he had the keys.
Oh, okay.
He had the keys, and he gets he gets eaten. So of course we're stranded. Actually, decent film. Of course, they make it out alive. Very similar to another movie that I find very interesting, which is called Blackwater. Kind of the same thing. It's about a family in Australia that is basically capsized over by a crocodile, which they have to wait up on a tree, basically. And this is also based on a true story, so people need to stop going to these places.
Yeah. What was the movie where it was like the couple, they got stranded out in the sea, and it was like all
Open water.
Open water.
Yep. Yeah.
That's a true story too.
Yep.
And those people, they never found those people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they probably got eaten by the sharks.
Don't be an idiot if you're going to go out to the wilderness, people. For God's sakes.
And the ultimate horror movie next on our docket is Grizzly Man. No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke, but that basically is one of the most powerful, intense horror movies.
Grizzly Man is is an amazing film.
You really like that?
Really? I love Grizzly.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Why? I don't know why is it shocking.
Well, because I'm going to be as nice as possible. Because the guy had no knowledge of bears, and people told him, like, dude, don't go out there towards these bears. And then he got his girlfriend killed too.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is like the narrative as it goes on. Like there are people in the film that are like, it's crazy that he lasted as long as he did. Like, it makes
that's true.
And they were genuinely, and not just like, it wasn't so much baffled. They're like, there's something going on with what he was doing, the way he lasted as long as he did. And it was pointed out. I mean, a lot of people, like, they will see it on a face value and be like, well, of course he got eaten. He's hanging out with bears all the time. But as the through line kind of goes through, it's a really, the dynamic of him essentially choosing to stay on even after, the summer months were starting to go away. And it seems to be strongly implied that, had he left when he should have, which he doesn't due to, his own, issues or, personal failings or something. Had he stayed, he might have, he would have been fine. And he would have just continued to go on as he did. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. But yeah, it's I think it's a fascinating story. And, like when it first
I think it's fascinating. I just feel bad for his girlfriend who got eaten, who was there with him.
That's true, yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever seen that audio or heard that audio of that.
Oh yeah,
I halfway through the movie, right?
It's terrifying. Well, no, they didn't let it in the film, but then you can find it online now.
Yeah,
supposedly.
No, I've heard it. It's real.
Heard it?
God, it's real.
Well, I'm not saying that the video isn't real. I'm just saying
it's just audio. The camera was knocked down.
Well, I'm curious whether the audio was authentic.
I'll send it to you.
I'd rather not.
Oh my god!
Because it's they actually made a movie on Netflix. I don't know what it's called right now. Forgive me, everybody, but there is a movie now on Netflix about a woman and a couple out in the woods, and basically he's out in the woods and she comes out. And he's being eaten by a fucking bear. Which was essentially kind of what happened in Grizzly Man. Wow. But what was horrible, she stood there out of fear. But we're getting a little too dark into this. But, I find Grizzly Man insane. I just, that's an interesting, I think it's a horror film on it to itself, personally. Oh, God. Oh, you really got me with that one, Luke.
I want to talk about one. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's been forever, though. I want to talk about Orca real quick.
Oh my God! I can't believe I forgot that film.
Orca is a really good example of this because it is a 1-to-1 Like there is no ambiguity about why they made this movie. It was
Great
like,
movie.
They were they laid it on the line. It was like, okay, Jaws was really fucking popular.
Yep.
You got to make another one.
B-rated.
What else can we do besides a shark?
Orca.
Killer whale. But in this case, like the thing that's great about Orca is that it is not just a monster movie. It is a revenge thriller.
Yes.
If you look at it from the perspective of the killer whale.
Yes, with a justifiable villain.
This is the Punisher of killer whales. This, a group of, or what's the word? Conservationists. They're trying to track killer whales. They're trying to help, but in the process, they accidentally kill a female killer whale
with the baby comes out on
with
deck.
The baby, and they find out it's pregnant, and then. The main guy, Rutger Hauer, who's kind of security on the ship, and then they see the male orca. He fucking loses his mind because they just killed his wife and child, and so he fucking destroys this town. It's a great, and it's a great crazy sort of B movie, but again, it's a 1-to-1.
Let me stop you right there real quick, Luke. One of the hold on real quick. Let me stop you there. I want to add on to what you were saying. One of the greatest one-on-one fight scenes ever in films, when the guy is on the ice and the orca is underneath the ice. Oh my god, that is epic. Because he's at that point, he's like, fuck it. It's either me or this whale.
Did this movie come out before or after Jaws?
It came out after Jaws.
Yeah. With the revenge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, in between Revenge, I believe it is. Look that up, Squid.
It came shortly after the first film, I
Shortly after the first film. So you're telling me that they made a 1-to-1 orca film off of Jaws, and then eventually they were like, well, we're just going to steal that back and make Jaws the Revenge, essentially?
Pretty much.
1977.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, so the shark ate its own tail.
Because there's even a point in the film where because there's I think even Orca makes the argument, it's like, well, if he's after you, just stay off the island.
Exactly.
But then the orca starts destroying the city and all that, and basically he's like, you need to come out and face me, motherfucker.
Wow.
This is the movie, and it is great.
Yeah, it has a sick trailer. Watch the trailer before you actually watch the film. It's great. It
builds up the orca getting mad. He's like, it is dirty humans. Great revenge film.
Yeah, and again, as always, killer whales are way more deadly than sharks. By a country mile.
But the description of this movie is, part of it is, it's Jaws meets Moby Dick as a bounty hunter becomes the target of an enraged and grief-stricken creature craving for revenge.
Awesome. Hey, speaking of Moby Dick, Luke, we once talked about how they keep making Robin Hood films and King Arthur films. Does that go the same with those two as Moby Dick? is the rights to Moby Dick sold? Because I am so sick and tired of seeing interpretations of it.
I would assume that by this point Moby Dick is public domain. I think it's different in that case because it's just a singular book, so it's you can't just make an expanded universe of Moby Dick.
They should.
Whereas Robin Hood and King Arthur, they have their own, they have a whole bunch of different stories that you can draw from and just make stuff up. Yeah, Moby. But yeah.
And I would imagine a movie set on a boat would be very expensive.
I would love for them to make a version of Moby Dick that's like Orca. That would be kind of
right.
Fun.
Well, Orca.
I actually looked up how many Moby Dick movies there are. It's In the Heart of the Sea, 2010, Moby Dick.
Yeah, technically that's not Moby Dick. That's based off of the book. That's based off the event that inspired Moby Dick.
That's how they.
Interesting.
That's how they. Because it is based off a true story. In fact, the guy who wrote Moby Dick was on the ship. He actually had to cannibalize his fellow crew members.
Yeah, it was basically
justify his revenge.
No, that's true though. That really happened. The guy, a white whale, they think in, I guess, mating season, capsized this whaling ship, and the crew literally all they had was a candle and a lifeboat, and they were cooking meat on the candle and eating it. They were eating each other.
And then obviously, Nathan Melville, Herman Melville wrote the story basically what happened next. He's going to try to get the revenge on the whale.
Classic.
But what were we talking about? Yeah, so A lot of Moby Dick. So that's not really. I mean, that's kind of like that's a grand sort of sweeping epic about
a man after a big dick.
man after a big. No, but Moby Dick is pretty gay. Like, and I don't mean that. I don't mean that disparagingly. I mean, like, it is it's very homoerotic. Like, it is just filled with powerful gay manliness.
Oh my god!
If I was an English teacher, that is 100% how I would teach.
What's wrong with you?
Oh my god, Luke, you would be out of a job after day one.
Oh my god.
Well, maybe if the school was homophobic. Yeah, I'd probably get kicked out of Arizona if I did that shit. Probably.
Yeah. Speaking of, I got two other movies that are pretty much the same story. They just thought they could, do the old switcheroo, which is Burning Bright, which is about a tiger basically invading a house during a hurricane, and then Crawl, which is about crocodiles in houses during a hurricane.
Yeah.
Do I need to say more on both of those films? Besides, Burning Bright came out first.
2010.
Yes. Interesting film. I mean, I couldn't imagine a bigger horror than to have a tiger breaking into the house. I mean, that totally gives a whole new pun to cat burglar, right?
Yes.
Right? I mean,
oh my lord.
You like that one, Steve?
Yeah. Just put like a little Zorro mask on the lion.
Oh, that's gonna be the next film. But, I got the main one here, and this is gonna be the one we'll wrap it up with, because I know everyone's gonna be like, oh, shit. Let's talk about The Ghost in the Darkness.
Yes.
Starring the one...
Darkness.
Let's talk about the, how can I say this? The late, great, at famous one point, Val Kilmer.
Yeah. he's not dead, he's just not famous anymore.
Who's the other guy in it, though?
This was 90s Val Kilmer.
Yes, this is 90s. This is when he was in his prime.
Yeah, dude, this is late 90s right here.
This is power. This is when everyone was like, he gets his own trailer still.
Exactly. This is when everybody wanted to fuck Val Kilmer. Probably including Michael Douglas. I'm sure.
Yeah, the Michael Douglas. This ain't bat butt Val Kilmer. This is like prime grade A.
Yeah.
And we're gonna stop talking about it from here.
and interestingly, it is kind of a dynamic because Val Kilmer was the much more like masculine of the two, in my opinion, and Val Kilmer plays the more conservative business type guy, and then Michael Douglas, he's the more rugged.
They're actually the same person. Yeah, so John Henry Patterson, that Michael Douglas and Val Kilmer's character are basically the same. They just wanted to add Michael Douglas' character to it to kind of like make it more of a dynamic duo. Plus also have Val Kilmer have some justification for basically setting fire to half of Africa. But, again, our audience, based on a true story, you can really see those lions in, I believe it's the Chicago Museum of Natural History. Recently, though, I don't want to take away from the story. They've done research, though, and found out the lions only have eaten, maybe they said 30 people, so they don't know.
Roughly.
Yes, but, back at the time, they said these lions were eating hundreds.
Was a lot of people.
Well, there's been some lions that have eaten 300 people.
That Crocodile and Primeval.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get too historical, but God, we're such nerds on this show. There's actually a story. Look up the jaguar Rutapendag. This jaguar killed like 500 people.
500 people. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Plus, actually.
Yeah. And one of the most famous hunters of all time actually had to go hunt him down. Great story. Back to Ghost in the Darkness, though. So, Ghost in the Darkness, of course, epic. And for those of you who don't know, Ghost in the Darkness is the name of the two lions. The two brother lions. Epic film. I mean, what do you guys think about this film? I loved it. I seen it when I was really young. It gave me I want to say an appreciation for Africa in the sense of, holy shit, there's a lot of dangerous things there.
Yeah.
I think it was beautifully shot. There's some great scenes in it, too. I thought the special effects were good. I thought it followed the actual story pretty well. It didn't do too much to embellish it that much. I mean, there are some little things you can say, like, for example, the lions don't have manes that are in the museum, the ones in the movies do, and that was contributed to a disease they later found out the lions had. But regardless, though, they didn't really try to embellish too much of the true story. Because they actually took some of it from Patterson's book. He actually had a journal in which he wrote a lot of this stuff in, too. But some of the things are really true, like the whole baboon thing with the baboon. Like, lions hate the sounds of baboons. That's absolutely true. Overall, though, I think Ghost in the Darkness is one of Val Kilmer's standalone best Val Kilmer films, I should say,
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's one of those films that, like, you might even add a little bit of prestige to it from a creature feature, because
it's definitely a prestigious type film.
It's definitely like elements of costume drama as well. So fellas, take your ladies.
Oh yeah.
You get the nice Victoria or Elizabethan England or whatever fucking era that was. But yeah, it's this incredible film and really interesting, and it is kind of like it teeters that line, because I think something like Jaws is something you're going into knowing that it's a little bit more of a genre film. Like, it kind of exists in this world where, like, well, that's probably not going to happen. Ghost in the Darkness, I feel like, exists in this world that is trying to be very real. Like, there's an unsettlingness that when it starts to get like more and more heightened and crazy, you're like, okay, now this is getting weird, because it's like, well, these are just lions, but now they're like acting way crazier than just normal lions.
Yeah, right. They never found that cave, though, that Patterson talked about, though.
Yeah.
The cave with all the bodies. Never found that cave. They said they'd looked for it.
Yeah, it does kind of let you think about the whole truth is stranger than fiction element. So, very good. Yeah, I should probably rewatch it.
It's a great film. I think Ghost in the Darkness is timeless classic. Mike, have you seen Ghost in the Darkness?
I have not, actually.
You've really never seen Ghost in the Darkness? Wow.
No. I think neither have I. One of those films.
You've never seen Ghost in the Darkness either?
No, wow.
See, Squid, and you sit on this panel.
Yeah.
Mike has an excuse. You have no excuse.
Wow,
I've never heard of this movie before.
You've never heard of the Ghost and the Darkness?
No.
Yeah, that's one of
I'm shocked on this panel, ladies and gentlemen.
I would say bigger standalone films that he did, and I'm with Rob. I remember seeing this roughly around when it came out when I was a kid, and it kind of scared the shit out of me.
It scared the crap out of me.
Because I was like, oh my god, this can happen. It was just
and then my dad told me this is a true story, and I was like, what?
Yeah, same, dude. I was like, someone's like, yeah, it's just a true thing. I'm like, this happened? I'm like, yeah. And then someone was like, yeah, they do this. They just go in your house.
And that's because the lions of Tsavo, the killers of Tsavo, that's actually the book's name. The Tsavo lions are said to have had a taste for meat of human flesh, because during the slave trade they used to march slaves through Tsavo, and basically anybody who got left behind was a human Happy Meal for the lions.
Yep.
So that was a little history lesson for some of you in my audience. But that's going to wrap it up on this creature villain film or creature feature film of Real Sharks Podcast. We thank you all for being with us. And, of course, this is your host, Rob, with Squid.
We'll see you guys later.
Steve.
Yo.
Mike. And out there in Cali, Lucas Maximus.
Great talking with you guys.
Hey, we love you.
And make sure to stick around for Tucky Williams on Real Sharks.
This is the Nostalgunk Podcast, where one person's junk is another person's childhood. I'm Matt McGraw.
And I'm Kyle Smith. Join us each week as we take a deep dive into your pop culture consciousness and discuss everything from movies, TV, music,
cartoons, toys, video games, and more.
And we want to hear from you, so connect with us. Nostalgia means so many different things to so many different people, so share with us your favorite piece of nostalgia.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at NostaljunkPod. And you can subscribe to us on all the major podcast platforms. Let's get this thing up to 88 miles per hour, and we'll see you next week.
Hello! Check out our podcast, Grand Rapidians Play Video Games.
Every episode, we review a beer
talk about games we play,
and recommend a podcast or something else.
I'm Willie. I'm not your normal beer snob. I've been to more than 150 different breweries, but I always keep hams in the fridge.
I'm Ginger, and I am in the first Guinness World Record Book video game edition on the Tetris page.
I'm Simon, and I can usually kick their butt in most video games.
We drink while we record.
Fuck yes, we do.
Find us wherever you find podcasts, and enjoy.
4, 3, 2, 1.
We're joined by writer, producer, and director of the shows Girl Scene and Dagger Kiss, which you can find on Amazon Prime. It's Tucky Williams. Hi, welcome to Real Sharks.
Hi.
How you doing?
I was going to tell you that I just had this big technical problem with Amazon, and they temporarily took the movie off Prime, and so I didn't know if we should reschedule this, because right now I can't really say that there's a movie on Prime. I mean, it's going to go back up within a week, but don't want to be misleading and be like, oh, hey, it's on Amazon, it's free with Prime.
Which show was taken down?
Oh, it's not taken down. It's just the Dagger Kiss movie, the sci-fi fantasy is they just made it so that it wasn't free with Prime because they said the captions weren't in English. All of a sudden, they decided the captions weren't in English, and so I was fighting with them. I was like, well, they've been in English this entire time, But
so how are you doing though?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
So
except for that.
Yeah, no, that's terrible. Hope you get that taken care of. So, question I always ask, always out of the gate: what's it like being a female director?
Oh, horrible! It's a nightmare.
You think it's horrible, eh?
Yeah, it's a nightmare. I mean, most people have a serious problem with it, and then so you've got to find people who do have a problem with it, and then you just got to weed out the ones who secretly have a problem with it. But a lot of people have a major problem with it. Yep.
That's really interesting because I have a couple questions here. One of my questions I was going to ask is, have you ever been basically turned down for one of your projects? Like someone was like, no, absolutely not. Has that ever happened to you?
Well, I'm in charge of all my projects, so I can't really turn myself down. But
I mean, like from a studio standpoint.
Well, I haven't worked with a studio either. I've been in charge of my own distribution all the time. But it's interesting because I have the name Tucky, and so I'll send emails, and then they'll be pretty great and pretty helpful. But as soon as they figure out I'm a girl, like the tone changes completely. It's like, wait, what? For real? Is this really happening?
So you think there's a industry bias?
I think there's a bias everywhere. It's just everywhere I've gone, it's been that way. And there's only one job I ever had where there wasn't a bias, and people, hear me out on this. It was when I worked at Victoria's Secret. And everybody thinks, oh, that's because it was ladies and it was wonderful. And no, the reason is because it was all women, and it was like Glengarry Glen Ross. It was cutthroat. Everybody was working as hard as they could to sell as much as they could, and it was a pure sales environment. There wasn't any room for ego. There was no, oh, she's better than I am and I'm not getting enough credit. It was all women, so there was no sexual harassment, first off. But then the other thing is it was all business. There was no room for infighting or anything like that. So that was the only job I've ever had where there wasn't a problem.
So you've done the series Girl Scene and Dagger Kiss, of course, as you were just saying. What inspires you to take those kind of projects on? Like what drives you to make those?
Well, at first it was a desire to see the kind of show that I wanted to see that just wasn't out there. That's what started originally. But then this wonderful thing happened, which was that all these people started writing to me and saying how positively the show had affected them and changed their lives. And so then the mission truly became affecting positive change in the world and helping women, helping men too. I mean, first, men were being helped by this too, which is great. And, young women who don't have any role models to look up to, and people who are isolated everywhere in the world. And then, the next chapter is that now it's moved on, so it's not just in the gay community that's watching it. It's a worldwide community of men and women and all types of people who get to enjoy it, and that's incredibly gratifying, too, to know that everybody is getting something good out of it.
I actually just finished watching Dagger Kiss the other day, and I wanted to ask, what was like the motivation behind writing this? Because I noticed a lot of fantasy stuff in there, kind of more from the female perspective.
Well, it was it was so many different things, but, the way I would describe it to people is what would happen if one of these fantasy series, the hero just, got eaten by a dragon, and the supporting female characters had to take over. And, no one's ever done that before. No one's ever had a fantasy series where it's two women running around making everything happen and saving the world.
No, and I get that. And, and how you ended the first season, I liked and kind of made me ponder. I mean, are you going to write a season 2?
Well, I made the movie, so the movie's sort of a follow-up, and they just kind of go on another adventure.
You got a big fan over here with him. He's watched it all week.
And I started watching it on Monday, and I finished on Tuesday, and I mean, man, okay, this was pretty good. I kind of liked both your characters. You playing the Arnid. I actually thought that was really interesting to see somebody coming from a different world into the actual world and kind of wandering and trying to figure things out.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. I loved playing that character. That's my favorite character I've ever played.
Do you enjoy acting more than directing?
Oh, sure. Directing is just something I sort of had to do and fell into. It was not something I wanted. Acting was what I originally wanted to do, and then acting and writing, those were my two passions. And then I became a producer, and then after a while, it was just everything just went more smoothly if I was the one in charge, so I became a director.
That's always a good thing to do, is just, do it yourself. Anything worth doing is always worth doing right.
Yes, very much so. So, I mean, yeah, I have wonderful people helping me out, though. I have, my best friends in the world helping me out, so I couldn't do it without them.
What films inspire you? What are some of your favorite films? Films that you say, I'll pop that in, and that's something that gets me going again and gets me motivated. What's your favorite movies?
I mean, my favorite movies are so many. I think my favorite movie is Jackie Brown.
Oh, I love that film.
I also really like. Yeah, that's my pick. I also really like Casino, Aliens with an S, the second one.
My favorite movie of all time is Casino, actually.
What is?
Casino is my favorite movie of all time.
Casino?
Yes, that's my favorite movie of all time.
Oh my God, there's another person.
Yeah. Yep, that's my favorite film.
Oh my God, I'm so happy. I've never met anyone who said Casino was even in their top 5.
Oh no, I love that film.
Yeah, no.
Oh my gosh, this is so great.
Yeah, I love that movie.
So what do you like about it? I've never talked to anyone. I mean, most people you talk to haven't even heard of it.
Well, what I like about Casino, getting really technical into it, is I like the rise and fall story. I love that. I love that dynamic of a movie that takes its time to show you the development of the characters, but not just that. The cinematography and the acting of that in that movie is just brilliant. I love, because a lot of times in movies I see a lot of quick cam cuts where it's, you'll show this person's face and cut over to this person's face, and sometimes I think that gets old to me. It's one of my pet peeves with films, but with that movie, especially when they're in the desert scene, that's one long shot of them just acting and riffing and just going with each other. And Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci are just two of the all-time greats, and they just deliver so hard in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you like?
Yeah. Oh, well, I like Sharon Stone.
Yeah, Sharon Stone's
performance
awesome.
And her character. I just love what Scorsese did with it. It's just, I just like going on that adventure with them through Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And he's so able to bring it to life. And every time I watch that movie, you find something new that he did.
Exactly.
I feel like he's sort of, like I love the way he's infatuated with bad taste. And there's so much bad taste in this movie that you can really have fun with it, like that house that they live in. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But I swear, every time I watch it, there's something new. And of course, my favorite scene is the grass throwing scene.
Oh, yeah. When she plows, I remember that scene where she comes crashing into the house, basically.
Yes, and they call the police.
Yes.
And she's just actually tearing up the grass and throwing it at him. And then she's in there, and then he's out there talking to the cop. And he says he has the cop says he has a kid on the way. And Ace just like puts a cigarette in his other hand and shakes the guy's hand. And it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah,
this is such a mess.
It's a classy
People
film.
are so messed up.
And people,
yeah.
It's so classy, and people love, people honestly say Goodfellas is the greatest mob film, but personally, I think it's Casino. In my overall opinion, I tell people Casino, I think, is personally better than Goodfellas on just an acting basis.
I'm so glad. I really thought I was the only one.
Absolutely not.
No, I mean, anytime Rob can talk about Casino, he will.
I'll talk about Casino. I love that film. That's actually, I wish we had another correspondent, Steve, on here, because he loves Casino too. That's actually his other favorite movie too. That's how me and him met, is because he was like, yeah, I love Casino. I was like, oh my God, that's your favorite movie? He's like, yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is so great.
You should call into the show more.
I own it, of course. I own it on DVD and Blu-ray, and then anytime it's on TV, I watch it. So I have all three.
Yeah, same here.
I mean, there's so many experiences of me staying up way later than I should because I wanted to watch the end of Casino.
Right.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, right. And, that's a movie, too. Like, I'll start it, and if I, I'll keep it on background noise sometimes, but I'll keep coming back, though. Like, if I started exactly where it ended, so I keep starting it over. Just so I get
I have it memorized, I think. I just quote it all the time.
So do you see maybe doing
He's been following me. That's, I think, my favorite line. If you guys could walk me out, that would be great because he's been following me.
So do you see yourself maybe doing a mob film in the future? Maybe a female mob film?
No. I couldn't do that. I would act in one. I've never written any kind of crime drama.
Why not?
I think you'd be good at it.
I don't. I like fantasy. I like fantasy and science fiction.
Hey,
but
have you seen what was that movie with Will Smith, Squid? Bright.
Bright, yeah.
Bright is a fantasy, but told in like that LA cop perspective.
A bit of mobster, yeah.
Yeah. You do something like that.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes. Yes, Bright. That was really good. I like that. Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's when you have this ultra low budget filmmaking, there's a lot of limitations. So, I mean, I'm trying to think right now. In my head, I'm already producing a mobster movie, and I'm just already racking up the cost of everything.
So, what are some of your projects, if you want to share with us? What's some of your new up and coming projects?
Well, the Stagger Kiss movie is my latest release right now. I mean, I had it in my back pocket, and then all of a sudden it came up that people stopped making movies, and I said, well, here you go, here's a new one. But in the meantime, it looks like the industry is going to be shut down for a few years. I had projects in development, but I thought, I'm just going to back off on it and give myself some time, and I have a couple years to write a really great screenplay, so I'm gonna hold off on it. I mean, I was gonna make something in May. I was set up for Tim to shoot something in May, and then I was like, well, maybe I'll have to push it to October, and then it's like, okay, no, we're done for a while now.
Interesting, and this is going to be the first time I've ever asked anyone on this show this question, because you are the first guest that's post-COVID. Has COVID really changed the way the industry is done right now? I mean, has it really affected the way movies and shows are produced? I mean, is it a lot harder than it was before? I mean, I know being independent is hard enough, just trying to get your stuff out there. But now with this pandemic on top of everything, I mean, how has that affected you?
Well, you just can't do anything. You can't be in a room with anybody, and all these sets are really close quarters. You'll have 12 people in one tiny room, and you just can't do it. Period. It's just shut down. I know they started it up recently, but it didn't go well because Robert Pattinson caught the virus because they started production on Batman. So there's no getting around this. It's the industry's shut down for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. I had a quick question for you. Since all your stuff is on Amazon, I wanted to ask, how did the deal between you and Amazon come to be?
Well, it was really interesting. I did it through Amazon Video Direct, and it was a while ago. I was just like, oh, I'll give it over to them, and it took off like crazy. Like Stagger Kiss, I couldn't believe it. It's just so low budget. I didn't think anything would ever happen with it. All of a sudden, it's like this top Amazon series. I'm like, what? What is going on here? So I've just kept giving them stuff, and they keep taking it, and I'm like, okay, great. Let's just keep happening with this.
That's great. Yeah, I was telling people about you coming on the show, and I had one of my female friends too. She was like, she's like, girl scene. Yeah, I've seen that, of course. And she's like, in Dagger Kids, I've seen that
really?
too. Yes, I know quite a few people have seen your show. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You were actually, and before you came on, you were the one of our only guests that has a running show on Amazon.
Really?
Yes. Because we have a lot of people that have upcoming series, but sometimes they don't get picked up. We've had Kazi on the show, Kazi Toganis. He's the actor from Equalizer 2.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'm honored. I'm honored to be your first Amazon guest.
No, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's great. I love it.
Oh no,
you guys are fun.
Oh, thank you. I had one last question for you, and this is me being a horror movie buff. Are you a fan of horror movies?
Oh, very much so. I mean, I wasn't at all. I hated them. They scared me. But then when my career first started, I was kind of known as a scream queen, which is so I had to really, really, really fast become okay with horror movies, because one time I was at a convention, one of my first conventions, and there was this little after party in this hotel room, and all the people signing autographs got together, and I was in bed with actual monsters. I mean, we're sitting on the bed, not in bed. Oh God, that sounds terrible.
That's awesome.
But we were all sitting on the bed. I don't drink, but everybody else was drinking, and they were all drinking, and Michael Berryman was playing with my feet. Which I don't know if you know who Michael Berryman is, but Google him, whatever. He's this very famous monster. He has a condition. He's very so. I'm looking at him, and that was happening. So I was also with the cast of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, wow!
So that night I drove home. Yeah, I drove home, and I looked up Texas Chainsaw Massacre and watched it, and I wasn't right for a long time after that. I was deeply disturbed that I had been hanging out with these people, and all of a sudden, I had to, it was like, wait, these are normal people, but they're also monsters. They're evil. I just didn't know what to do with it. So, but then I got over it. My fear of horror movies ended, and now I just love them.
That's awesome. That's great. Would you ever consider writing a horror movie?
Oh yeah, I'd love to. I mean, I have tons of ideas. I have so many ideas, but everything's on hold right now. But I mean, I'd definitely love to at some point.
I say you work on that mob film as well, because I'd watch
on
that.
The mob film.
Oh,
yeah, make another
anyone, I would watch it. I'd be your first one there in line to watch it. If you were like, anyone is inspired to make a mob film based off Casino, yes, I would be there to watch it.
Oh my gosh, I need so much money. That film his set was the Stardust Casino in Las Vegas, and I got to go there before they tore it down.
Nice.
And I got to look at it and be there, and it was so great. So I'm very happy that I visited the Stardust before it was gone.
Yeah, I've got to see the actual real set, the real life set where it all happened.
Right. Yeah, they called it the Tangiers, and then as his little nod to it being the Stardust, he plays the song Stardust at the end of the credits.
Genius, pure genius.
Yes, genius.
Even Robert De Niro's wardrobe in that film is great. I love all the suits that he has. Oh my God, they're amazing.
Some of them were so terrible. They were so expensive, but they were so terrible.
And the real guy dressed just like that.
You did
just like that. Yes. I off the top of my head, I do not remember what the real guy Ace is based off, but yeah, the real guy Ace is based off just like that. Exactly. When he showed up for court, like in the movie, he was in that yellow suit that he was.
Get out!
Yeah, no, it's you can find it on Las Vegas News when they were covering it. Yeah, you can see all these suits and everything that he has on. It's great. But
that's so cool.
I think that's awesome though, and I really think that's awesome that you think Casino is so amazing. Because, like I said, I haven't met anybody besides my buddy Steve on this panel that loves Casino as much as I do.
That's so great. Yeah, I know.
I think you just became like Rob's new favorite.
Oh yeah, you just became my new number one. I just became my new number one fan here. But we appreciate you coming on, Tucky, so much. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, you should definitely call us back and we can come on again sometime. It was definitely fun having you.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it was definitely fun.
All right, and I'm gonna have to watch Casino tonight because we've been talking about it so much.
Hey, we can do a Casino special. You can join us, and we can break down that movie and review it together.
Oh, I would be so there for that.
I will contact you then.
Oh, yes, I would be so there for that.
Okay.
Like I said, I know every single line. I have it memorized.
All right, we'll definitely be in touch then.
Okay, great. Well, you guys have a great night.
You too, Tucky.
All right, talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.